Good evening and welcome to the January 17th, 2023 meeting of the ARPA Committee. We do have a quorum available to work with tonight, so we'll be moving forward. And I just want to wish everybody a Happy New Year, both here in the meeting room and out there in TV land. So we don't have any minutes to review for tonight. Maybe at the next meeting we'll review all the meeting minutes that we haven't caught up on yet, as Dan had something he has to get done. So we might as well start right off with Mr. Shea. And I'm picking you to go ahead of Diane just because she can see how the process works a little bit.
See what not to do.
Well, after 13 appearances here, I think you already know what not to do.
Good evening.
You can start with whichever one you want.
Let's start with we can start with the snow blowers, which is a school request. I wrote down a little something because I tend to get sidetracked if I speak off the top of my head. So the school custodians are responsible for clearing snow and salting all the sidewalks and entrances of the schools. The DPW is responsible for the parking lots. We utilize one 59-inch snow blower attachment. This attaches to a tractor as our main source of snow removal. It's currently not working, and it won't be working all winter, but that's another story. We have one large salt spreader, which is attached to a tractor. We have many other walk-behind snow blowers and walk-behind salt spreaders. We've been successful over the years in opening school the day after a very large snowstorm. Our custodians do a great job of coming in when called and doing the best to make sure walkways and entrances are safe. But that being said, last year we still had 5 slip and falls from students, staff, and members of the community. So I'm the type of person that's always looking for a better, more efficient, safer way of doing things. And when I say safer, I mean for the students, staff, community, and the custodians. That is why I'm proposing these snow blowers. These are stand-on snow removal machines, 36-inch snow blower in the front, and a salt spreader in the back. It's able to do the work of at least 2 custodians. And I am confident that these machines will save money in the long run and improve the maintenance of walkways during and after snowstorms.
You think it would save money from overtime?
Yes, that's where the savings would be, overtime.
Ken, any questions? Comment?
No, I just, I guess, how do you think that the $35,000 spent is, I mean, when we look at it from a perspective of global warming, can it be used for anything else? I know I have a snow blower and I use it like once a year, and even if we get a dusting, I get out there just to use it. You know, but
Yeah, I mean, I can't really comment on global warming, but.
Give us your prediction, John.
But last year, we had a significant amount of snow. The salt spreader on the back especially, like this morning. We had snow yesterday. This morning, everything was ice. So our custodians go out with the handheld salt spreaders and salt down. We've got over 1,500 feet of sidewalks that we maintain. You know, I got to call in 3 custodians at the high school for overtime. This machine could do the work of one, of the 3. They'll probably be called in tomorrow.
Yeah.
See, and I guess global warming, what happens for the schools is it warms up during the day. All the snow
Melts.
runs into the sidewalks and entrances, freezes at night, and that's where we're seeing a lot of our problems. That's where a lot of our slip and falls occur. That when the snow freezes overnight, people are coming in, getting out of their cars, walking through the crosswalks, and it's icy. These would help prevent that.
Any idea what the overtime was spent for the you said three custodians?
It's actually, it wasn't what spent today.
No, just like last year, for instance.
I think last year we were about 90,000,
Oh, just in overtime?
just in overtime.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if that is just the custodians or if that includes the DPW staff,
Okay.
but I'm pretty sure it's just, because I report that in the end of year report. I think it was about 89,000.
No, it'd be for the year though, so
Not
that
just
would
for snow,
include
right.
like other things
Other- yeah,
besides
so
snow,
Not
like,
just
Not all
for
snow,
snow
right.
removal.
right, or?
No, we
do
have
you
an
do
account.
a line for that?
Yeah, we have an
Okay.
account where we code all our overtime for snow removal.
Okay.
Now,
yeah,
whether
I think-
the DPW also uses that same line, I'm not sure.
I think DPW snow and ice all goes, I would think all goes through our snow and ice line, which isn't related
It's
to
where
the
we code
school.
all our overtime, the snow and
Okay.
ice line.
Yeah, then I'd have to look. I mean, I know in total, the town-wide, we were, 400 and something thousand, but obviously that's not all.
I can get you
Yeah.
the answer. I probably should have had that.
So what's the payback, you think, in years? Saved over time for,
It's, it depends on the storms.
Right.
We could, like, this year's been pretty good. We
Yeah.
haven't had much overtime except for the last couple of days.
that's true.
It's hard to estimate what the savings would be.
The year's not over yet, though.
It's not over yet.
It'll be May
February's
7th.
coming.
Yeah, you never know really around here.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, another question I had was, if not through the ARPA funds, is there another alternative for financing for this?
Well, I tried through the capital committee, and it wasn't approved by the capital committee.
Are you submitting it again this year?
I will submit it again this year. Last year, we had a significant amount of school items that we submitted to capital, and that was one of the ones they left off.
Gee, any questions?
Can you just tell us again what you're operating with? How many snow blowers now? I know you said one's not working.
Let's see, we've got two walk-behinds at Central, maybe 3 at Mitchell, maybe 4 at the high school.
And how old are they? Oh,
I don't think we bought one in the 6 years I've been here.
Would you use this,
Longevity.
you gonna use this machine for all the schools, or just the high school?
I would put one at the high school and one at the Mitchell school.
I mean,
At the high school can be used between the Central.
Central, okay. You're gonna get 2 of them?
I was asking for 2.
Okay.
Any other questions for anyone? All right, just to be clear, the 34,000 covers the two. It's not 34 each based on.
One question, I guess, because this came up recently with a purchase that another department made. Is it something that the DPW could repair? Do you know?
I don't know the answer to that.
That was something we talked about, starting to try to, like, within all departments, to make sure that some of the things we're buying are within the capabilities of the DPW and their maintenance. Oh, I'm just curious.
All right, last chance for questions, comments? All right, so we'll kind of take that under advisement and get back to you.
Sure.
Next up is John Shea.
Okay, so that was a school request. Now, for the rec committee, we have a Strong's Field scoreboard request. And I can share some of these pictures with you. For those that don't know, Strong's Field is a baseball field in town. It's one of the premier fields on the South Shore. It's a great field. It's been around, I don't know, 60 years. I am asking for funding to replace the scoreboard. The scoreboard, I gave you a picture of the current scoreboard and a picture of the scoreboard controller. It's got to be over 50 years. It still works,
Looks
believe it.
user-friendly. It looks user-friendly.
Very useful.
It's very user-friendly. It still works. You have to actually plug it in through a hole in the shed, but it still does work. But as you can see, I don't know how much longer it's going to last. Strong's Field hosts about 200 baseball games a year. It's used by Little League. It's used by the high school JV team. And it's also used by outside organizations which rent the field. The quote I received is a wireless scoreboard. The controller is actually a handheld model, which is the way things are going now. A lot of them actually can be used by phone. I believe this one could be used by phone also in an app. The electrical is there. The structure is a metal structure that's already there.
What's the quote that you got, you said?
It's a quote, yeah.
How much is it?
17,420.
Okay. Sorry, I don't have any information, so I'm,
The quote for the scoreboard is $10,000. I put in a request for an additional controller for $375, and I made an estimate of installation at $7,000. I don't have a quote on that, but that was my estimate.
well, the electrical and the structure and everything there? 7,000 to put, okay. Seems high, but
It
might be a
could be
little high.
high.
Yeah. I bet it higher than too low, I guess, right on the quote, so.
Yeah, the quote's also, the quote was done in August. So everything's going up, so
So
that.
add 10% at least.
Right. 10% per month, right?
Oh, that's more realistic.
Do you have any idea the turnaround time right now on them?
I don't.
I was just thinking if we wanted to do one in time for
For baseball, yeah.
the season, but
I don't know what the turnaround time is.
Any other questions, Glenn?
I don't know.
Danny?
No?
No.
Is there ongoing maintenance to the
There
scoreboard?
There shouldn't be.
Another 60 years?
I can't believe a tree, all those trees around it and everything, and it's still standing there
Yeah,
strong.
I
That's
know.
in the picture.
The DPW does a good job of
Keeping it clear around, that's good.
maintaining out the trees in the outfield.
All right. Again, we'll get back to you.
Sure.
Next is,
Let's do the open air cinema. Well, as a member of the rec committee, we have struggled over the years to find events for the community that we could afford to do. We haven't had a budget in the past. We do now have an operational budget. This request is for an outdoor movie theater system. It comes with a 16 by 9 foot screen. It's a blow-up screen. It comes with a console for Blu-ray or wireless. pictures, showing pictures either through CD or wireless. It comes with a laser projector, it comes with a hard case, and it comes with speakers. We'd like to start showing movies on the common for the community.
Questions, Ken?
No.
Eugene?
No,
I just want to say, I think that's a great idea. I think that's awesome, yeah.
Seems like something that's, besides once you have the projector, it's fairly easy to throw an event like that. Like, you don't, there's
Exactly,
not
yeah.
a ton of things that else you'd have to do, set up someone with popcorn and
Right.
throw on a movie.
I've done 2 movie events there, one recently.
Yeah, I was gonna ask how that one went.
It went good. There were
Yeah.
a lot of people there. You know, I had to borrow a sound system from somebody. We have a screen at the school which I used, which is just like a regular movie screen.
Right.
So it went pretty good.
I feel like it's the kind of thing that people with families with young kids are looking for.
Definitely. We had the boosters had a big crowd there.
Glenn, anything?
No, no question.
This would be on the common, is that where it would,
That's
It's mobile though, right?
it's mobile. Yeah, we could do it
so
anyway.
you do it anyway?
I feel like the library, like maybe they could make, the library might be able to make use of it,
Oh,
or,
definitely.
Is that something organizations could rent or something, or?
We talked about that with the rec committee, but, yeah, I mean, but we wouldn't rent to the library, we wouldn't let.
No, but like fundraisers for scouts or for other organizations that could put something together, it'd be kind of fun, you know?
Yep.
Are there any movie rights for showing the movie? You have to do anything? Or is
Alright.
it just all?
Yeah, you're supposed to.
Go ahead and do it. If someone comes by, we'll worry about it
I
then.
didn't say that.
The fifth.
And the quote is still, well, you don't know.
The quote, yeah, the
How
quote.
much is it?
10,000?
12.9.
And that's all inclusive, John?
Yeah, what was, it's all inclusive, yeah. 12,900.
How many people did you get at the event you had? Using a regular screen?
I'd say there was over 100.
Well,
Huh?
I can see it for like little kids and,
Yeah, they had a food truck there, I mean,
Yeah, it's a good event, you know? It's good community events, you know? So, need more of that stuff, so. Get them out of the house, right, the kids?
just don't drop them off.
Free
There's a
babysitting?
street on
Okay.
every side of that common.
that's, parents drop them off. Grandparents want to be there.
Right, right.
All right, any other last chance, questions, comments?
No.
All right,
All right.
one more?
One more. The roof replacement for the youth sports buildings in town. So the rec committee, we work with the youth sports programs. One of their requests was for help in replacing the roofing on their buildings. The baseball down at Church Street, baseball field, concession stand / garage / bathroom roofing is in need of replacement. Belmont's, also down Church Street, there's a storage garage by the old basketball courts. That roof is in need of replacement. And at the Belmont Street Youth Soccer Complex, their roof is also in need of replacement. The quotes I received were from, John Haynes was able to get these for us.
Doesn't East Bridgewater Little League, don't they have funds for that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, not as much as
before?
when we were involved.
I remember there was substantial amount back in the day. Not anymore.
Talking about volunteers?
Hmm?
Were you talking about volunteers? I didn't hear the first part.
Oh, no,
How
back when
much funding youth baseball has.
youth baseball had quite an account back, I don't know, 10 years ago or whatever it was, 8 years ago, when our kids were younger, so.
I was thinking in terms of, talking about when we're all involved with that, volunteers doing stuff like
Right.
this. Is there any possibility of that?
Yeah.
You can't get volunteers.
Can't get them to rake the field or help out with anything.
Volunteerism has,
Do you even get
On the
anybody
way
to
to
do
the
the
field.
things?
The best option is to get like a scout to do an Eagle project, maybe. So we did one down there, one of our Troop 32, one of the boys was down there, did some work. I built that handicap ramp as part of the Eagle project. And he did some other work, so that's always an option, to see if any boys need an Eagle Scout project. Yeah. Or but roofing is a little difficult for the scouts, so it would be the leaders doing it and then volunteers, you know, so.
So essentially, you know, they got so many years on them, it's time for these roofs to be replaced. The costs don't seem to be too out of line to me, not that I'm an expert. but- Any other questions or comments?
You said 3 roofs.
3 roofs, yeah.
All right, here are no more comments, questions. John, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Diane, you should be a pro by now after watching that.
You know what not to
Stellar
say.
presentation, you know? Thanks, John.
Hello.
All right, Diane Phillips. I don't know if you know everybody, but
I do. Thank you for having us here, or myself and other members of the, we represent the Friends of the East Bridgewater Trails. We're a volunteer committee. We have been around for well over 20 years, about 20 years. And we maintain the trails that are town-owned by East Bridgewater, both Sachem Rock and the Bay Circuit Trail, which is off of Bennett Lane, across the street from the Sachem Rock Community Center. We also maintain the Bay Circuit Trail, which is over by one of our water filtration pumping units over off of Crescent Street. We're a small group that uses a lot of muscle, and we do as much as we can. We take chainsaws, we maintain the trails so they are walkable. But one thing that we noticed during the COVID time is that people were out. You saw your neighbors, they were walking. And open space and places for people to hike are in great demand. That we are looking for spaces that are safe, that are out friendly for kids of all ages. One thing we've noticed both at the Sachem Rock and Bennett Lane that these trails have fallen into disrepair way beyond what a volunteer committee can maintain. There's erosion, there's due to usage, due to weather. Both trails need basic safety improvements. There are some wooden bridges that are, especially the one over to the left of the community gardens. That one there has really rotted, and there's another one. There's some trails along the trail that really need to be improved. Benches, there's a need for more benches because at the senior centers, especially at Sachem Rock, those trails are used during the day by our seniors, and they do appreciate, as well as families, appreciate a place to sit and be quiet. So we thought of bridges. There's also a place along the trail that's it goes down to the river. It's a little steep, and there's a railing there. This railing is very wobbly and needs to be replaced. Erosion, and as well as some roots and rocks that are making it, as a hiker, you are used to rocks, but as a walker or a mom with a baby carriage, and I've seen baby carriages down there, and it's just, the footing is a little rough and could be potentially dangerous for some people. So our proposal is to get a quote from some of the sources out there for a recommendation by the DPW to improve these surfaces and to improve the trails for the use of our communities. I think they definitely are used on a daily basis. Dog walkers, the seniors, families, on the weekends, you see people there all the time. And it just will be a better access to safer trails. That's our whole goal, and as a volunteer group, we have zero funding, zero money, other than what we bring to the table, and what the DPW can once in a while drop by, like they are really good at giving us wood chips. But what we need there is really more than just wood chips. So we would really appreciate the support from the ARPA funds to help us with this project. And I think it would benefit our town now and for a long way down the road. And I'm open to questions. And there was 3 of us that worked on this proposal. One's working, one's out of state, so I'm here.
You drew the lucky straw.
Yeah, I got the straw. So we're just hoping to use local contractors, and with the recommendation from John Haynes, to proceed that way, to get bids, and then to start the project as soon as possible. And I think it's a safety issue. I do really see some areas that are just unsafe, and it's right there, especially in the Sachem Rock Trail, as you go off to the right along the riverbank. It's slippery, and it's some unstable areas. I don't know if you have any questions that I can help you with. Our estimate for $75,000 was based on, I think, when you look at trail maintenance, it might require some heavy equipment to do some of the work. That was an estimate, and so.
So you haven't received a quote from?
We haven't received a quote, but we would well work within this figure. That's what we figured, that this would be the figure, we'd get a quote, and to see what we could get done in that. And we prioritize. I think the bridges are really important, the railings are incredibly important, and that initial, as you go down, you know, that spiral where they go, the rock path, the little prayer circle with the rocks.
And then it goes
And
down
then it
to
goes
the river
down.
from
That
there.
area right there is probably the worst area. And then there are, depending on weather and rain, there's some very wet areas that could use some rocks, some fill to help keep that from being so. When water goes on a trail and it's really wet, over time and people are using it, that's where you see erosion
Right.
and roots appear. And so I think we have a beautiful place there. I think maintaining it would be amazing. And this would be so helpful for our group of small volunteers that try to do the best we can.
Was it your group that did the bridges and everything originally?
Some of them.
Wow.
Howard Wilbur and, oh my gosh, Ed Fopiano.
Papiano.
Yes,
Papiano,
those were the 2 great builders, and we helped them.
Wow.
But they did, and well, Ed has moved, and Howard is not,
Not building bridges right now.
right now, not building bridges.
So that
So-
was done volunteer?
It's always been volunteer. Even the wood has all been volunteer. And those are the things, I mean, over time, and especially if we didn't use pressure-treated wood at the time, you kind of use what you have.
Yeah.
Yes, so, yes. We've never received any money. It's all been what we could do. And
Diane, do you think it would be possible to ID the specific areas and try to get an idea, like a better idea of what the cost would be?
yes, and we would have done that for that, but we didn't. it was a time crunch, so
Sure.
I
No,
would love to
understand.
do that.
But I think,
So-
you know, just in my mind, it'd be like, I'd like to know what, the things you're talking about, I know what you're speaking about, those areas, just kind of identify and quantify how much it's going to cost to do specific areas for a total.
Yes, what could we feasibly get done for this, and prioritize those? Like, how much would it do those bridges? I would love to do that. So that would, my question was about the bidding. Do I need, so who do I ask for that kind of information? Do I get a bid for,
I don't mean to throw him under the bus, but my recommendation would be go to John Haynes
Yeah.
and have him, you know, he's got the 3 divisions, whichever division does the outside stuff. And there is one that does all the mowing and everything like that.
Tree division even.
Have them go out, take a walk along the trails with, you know, someone from your group, and you identify, well, this, we're looking at this, and they could take a shot at, well, this would probably cost that, or require this to be done. And then, you know, if you have 5 or 6 different things that you wanna get done,
yeah?
they'd have 5 or 6 different things they could give you. They could maybe give you an estimate themselves, or point you to the, you know, the Glenn company, or the Ken company, or the GG company, to say, you know, they could do this and give you an estimate on what it would cost to do.
Okay. Be glad, that would be a great idea, and I'd love to do that.
So I'm gonna avoid John Haynes for the next month or so.
Okay, yeah, we'll be calling him tomorrow. Sure.
But I think that would
yeah,
be the most common sense thing, and that way you'd have an idea,
Yeah,
you know, and then if, you know, it's less than the $75,000, you're fine. If it's more, you can decide whether you wanna eliminate something else, or I don't know if we have an opportunity to, you know, add $25,000 on if it came out to that and we had the money,
Right.
right?
Yeah, I
So,
mean, yeah, these dollar amounts aren't,
yeah, they're kind of wishy-washy anyway, based on what we know now.
mhm,
But that way, you look at everything you have out there that needs to be done and that you want to get done, then you can prioritize that list and see what the cutoff is with your $75,000, and if it's more than the 75, if, you know, if we can find room to fund that, or if it's less than 75, then
right.
put a
it-
John
which well
Schaefer or
could be.
snow blower or something.
Yeah, yeah.
We can have a movie fundraiser.
I love that idea. Station Rock would be a great place to have it, too. Yeah.
In the new pavilion.
Ah, love it. So I would, and so when I get that information, come back to you and let.
Yeah, I
and-
think it's probably the best way to do it.
Okay.
how many
Right.
people are in the group right now?
Well, there's 3 on the board, 4, and then there's people that come and go, families that come and go as volunteers.
When you do you do like volunteer days and stuff like
We
that,
do
like try
that,
to do?
yeah. We have done that. We have,
Well,
we
thank
also
you, that's a lot of
sponsor-
hard work that you
Yeah.
guys are doing
Yep.
Do great
for
work.
a lot of people in town, thank you.
And it's been a lot of people that have come and go over the years. A lot of Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts, those have been very active.
Eagle projects, yeah. there's
Eagle
some-
projects,
yeah,
that's
there's been
the,
some over there.
up by Crescent, the bridge over there. We've been trying to get that, and working with the Appalachian Mountain Club, and for they're taking part of the Bay Circuit Trail.
Right.
That part that goes from Bennett Lane over to Bridge Street, over to Hanson. That's our portion. That's another big project.
Yeah.
But just maintaining it, making it walker-friendly
Right.
is just important.
So the DPW doesn't get involved in that at all?
They volunteer, they drop off wood chips, but they don't maintain the trail.
Have you ever used them? They're really nice.
I
The trail's
haven't
great.
gone way far out behind Sachem, but I've been down there.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
And there's also trails down behind the Y.
Mm-hmm.
That's.
but can DPW do anything like that? Help?
I don't think it's in their scope right
No.
now.
Right, and if they'd need resources in their budget, and
Just, you know, as an aside, I think that the DPW does a lot for all of our groups.
Right.
Me being
Yeah.
involved with the garden,
Right.
you know, the DPW is fantastic without even being asked to do anything. So to make a formal request, we might ruin a good thing.
Right.
Right. They're very, I mean, but they don't bring the chainsaws out there and move
Yeah.
the logs when they fall down. As Howard would like to call them, widowmakers, when the tree falls over a
Yeah.
trail, the widowmakers. Yeah, we've had a few of those in our windstorms, and we're fine getting rid of that and clearing the brush, but it's the machinery that you need, we don't have access to that.
But that's a lot of work there in brush.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, I will contact
Yeah,
the
you can
committee
talk.
when I have that information.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'll reach out to you tomorrow with some of the information, or this week, it's been a little crazy here,
Yeah,
so I
what-
can't guarantee
no hurry.
tomorrow.
That's,
but-
that's okay. I got it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Diane,
Thank you
if
for everything you
If
do.
you're going down there to ID some of these spots,
Yeah,
I'd be happy to meet and walk with you, just to
Okay.
see what you're looking at.
that would be great. We'll connect today with John and,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm pretty free.
yeah.
pretty
All
close,
right.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thanks, John.
See you Sunday, John.
You're not, you haven't still been going, have you?
Yeah. It was a tough Sunday, but have a good night.
Okay.
All right, we got, say 15, 20 minutes left. Do we want to talk about any of these, or approve or disapprove, or modify? That way we can have an answer ready for next week.
I'm not a voting member, but I definitely like some of these projects, the scoreboard, the movie screen, the trails. I can't believe they've been doing all those trails that so many people in town use, and that's all been a volunteer basis. I mean, how many people have used those trails?
Right.
Yeah, I was kinda
Right.
shocked to hear that it's just been the volunteer.
Right.
No one in the town the town itself hasn't been upkeeping
Right.
at all with it, so
Right.
that was impressive to hear that.
Just clearing brush behind my house. I know how much work it is. It's like,
Yeah, we just did the one
Raking
over,
leaves.
across from Sachem with the Eagle Scout.
yeah,
Yeah. That's pretty down there. That's a short, a shorter one.
You know, we had about 10 of us, and it took 3 or 4 hours just to go through, and that's just light maintenance, like
Yeah.
cutting brush back and
Yep.
picking up big sticks, and it's a lot of work, yeah.
And they do it all volunteers, too. They've done a great job with all that.
And the bridges become a safety issue if those are town properties.
The ones near Crescent Street where she was talking about,
been
some of
over
those are
there.
a little shaky,
Yeah, okay.
they're falling apart.
I knew the one she was
They're
talking
in
about
water,
at
I mean, it
Sachem,
seems
but
tough to fix those.
right.
You know, about 3 feet of water, a lot of them.
really,
Yeah, so.
You get
They're all
something on a
shifted.
hill, and, someone's gotta go in and dig something out, put a drainage underneath the path so the water goes under instead of over it.
Right, right,
I mean, that's not an easy task.
no, no,
But also, you run into conservation, too, at that point.
that's right.
So I think you're better off just repairing what's there.
Yeah, that's true. All
That's
right,
on
do we
Crescent.
wanna do that? We'll go through.
So how's this work, John? Like, it's my first meeting, so I just want to.
Well, that's not our fault.
I know. I didn't blame
Catch your
anybody.
name.
but I'm Glenn.
Glenn,
Thank you.
Melanie.
Hey,
Nice to
Melanie.
meet you.
Danny.
Danny.
Gigi.
Hi, Gigi.
Ken.
Ken. I know this
Glenn,
guy.
what's your last name? Sorry.
Attrie. Tattie. I was on the capital planning committee for 20 years, on finance committee for a few years. So I've been off for a couple of years now, but, so I enjoy working with the town and volunteering, so.
We're happy to have you here.
Welcome.
Yep.
So how's this,
So a couple of meetings ago, and it's been a long time between meetings, probably been 6 weeks since our last meeting at least. We said we didn't wanna vote on the stuff while the people were here, we wanna have a chance to just talk about it.
Right.
So, say, whether we talk about it at the beginning of the next meeting or now, I don't think it makes much difference. I think if we have that time now, we go through it now.
so is
be
it like we have a set
prepared.
amount of funds and you're just chipping away at it as projects come in? Is that
Are
how
we?
it works? And,
Kind
or we're kind of looking at the whole population of projects and prioritizing
We
based on the dollars? That's how capital usually worked.
We prioritized them based on what we thought, how important they were to the community.
Have you seen them all already? Like, submission dates already
We-
closed?
yeah.
Oh, okay,
So
so you have
it
them.
was all closed in September 8th or something like that. So then we got a packet from each one. We went through those packets one night, and we had a matrix that we used for, 1, 2, 3, or 4, or whatever the numbers were. This is score, and we'd add up the score of all the different things in the matrix
Mhm.
to give it. So that's the order in which we're kind of reviewing them now. So,
Alright.
basically it comes down to that.
So I'm missing a lot of information that I need to get.
We need to get, probably need somebody from the selectman's office to print out a copy of the packet
Right.
for you.
I'll reach out to them, yeah.
what we did after we ranked the projects that we got and what we thought was most beneficial to the community, and then have had people coming in and then we give our input basically on the project, and once we've gone through them all, because it's kind of been developing as we go. We didn't know exactly how the process was gonna work when it started, but what it seems like right now is that we'll make our recommendations on what projects we think are beneficial, and, and then the selectmen, we'd make that recommendation to the selectmen, and they have the
Approval.
final say, and then, and we do have, a set amount of money, and some of it's available for basically anything. Some of it needs to fall into specific buckets that are set by the federal government, so we're working with those constraints too. So,
Excellent.
Well, welcome aboard, you're an expert now. All right, so let's go back to, for tonight, so we had, was it John Shea started off? And the snow blowers? Any comments on that? I mean,
I would like to know the actual, like, the breakdown of what the OT was on, for when they said the custodians were removing the snow, and also, like you mentioned about, can DPW repair these things? If not, they break down, like, no, they have a broken down one right now.
right.
That's been sitting, is this one that's, $17,000 gonna be sitting for a year?
Right.
Right.
I'd be curious too, and I didn't think of this when John was here, if the DPW had recommendations on, like, machines.
Yeah,
I'm sure they did.
Yeah,
I'm sure that he worked with John to go to the Capitol.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not
They
sure,
were
I
asked
don't
a lot of those
remember.
questions.
And, I know last year I was at the Capitol meetings, and that one was definitely passed over pretty quickly
Yeah.
because of, like he said, they had a
Did a
lot last year, and that was low on the totem pole.
all right, so we wanna hold off on that one until we get those answers?
Okay.
All voting?
John, I was wondering too, I mean, in light of not just that, but do we know exactly where we are with all the ones we forwarded? I understood
Where we are is we're done.
that, yeah, okay, that's what I thought. I wasn't sure because I thought they came back to us and said that they wanted us to submit everything before they would do it piecemeal to the board.
I think we got at the point, correct me if I'm wrong, we were gonna submit everything, just get them all done and get them to the board.
That's
Then the
what
board pushed back and said, don't do that, just come along,
sorry, the applications
yeah,
with Plymouth County?
right.
Or, yeah, I was told, like, we're not doing those. I think we wanna give our recommendations to the board, and then they'll tell us which ones to move forward with Plymouth County.
Well, they move, once we make recommended, they can either take our recommendation and go forward with it.
Right,
Or say no, or,
No, we don't want
I don't know
that.
if they can kick it back, they can probably kick it back if they wanna say, can you review this to do it this way or whatever,
Right.
but I think it's, my
yeah, no,
understanding
I
is,
get what you're saying.
we decide, okay, this is good for the town, this is, our recommendation to the board is this, and they can adjust it to whatever way they want while they're there that time, or they must have the option to kick it back to us and say, you wanna rethink this for less money, more money, whatever.
We also had questions about funding. So in other words, some of the things we pushed forward said we agree with, but, they need funding before they can get an accurate figure, and it's kind of like a circular reference there. So they don't get the
Yeah, did
funding,
we
they can't get the
an
accurate
answer on
figure.
that? I didn't,
I think the answer, as I heard it, we had the meeting in Charlie's office, and it was kinda like, this is what it is, but before it goes anywhere, it's gotta go through the procurement process.
right, which can cost money depending
Which
on
can-
the size of the
right,
project.
Right, and they'll deal with that then, and that'll be, the board will deal with that.
Right, cause the ARPA money can be, that is eligible use for the project, but,
So did you follow that?
Yeah, no, it just seemed to me like, whatever we do, it's still just gonna go to the board, and the funding is gonna come from them or through them or whatever, so.
Right.
Yeah, so we're not actually approving something, we're saying, we're sending it to you for your approval.
We're recommending that this be done. The two key words are recommend and approve.
Yeah.
They're the approving authority, and we're the recommenders.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call us an authority.
I had a question, not to get away from the ones we talked about tonight, but I
All right.
had some thoughts on the ones we've already gone through. And one of the things I thought about, and I don't know how anybody else feels about this, but was the 3 signs that we talked about, that we said yes. When you just, and I'm throwing this out there just because, to me, it seems like all of a sudden, once we have 3 signs installed, within a half-mile radius, we're gonna have 5 signs in town.
Right, I think we talked about it that night, and it was, I thought we had asked that group, I mean, the group is really the school,
Right.
go back, because there was a disparate, different prices that
Prices,
they
right.
had.
Between
You
the,
know, the big difference from top to bottom. There's 3 signs to replace the signs already here, and like you say, it's gonna be 5 signs in one place, and I think we asked them to go back and find out why the signs were different prices and things like that.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, it's the same thing, a message from the central school, a message from the middle school, a message from the high school, and I forget where the other sign was.
Town hall.
Town
Yeah,
hall,
2 at the high school.
right, so you get the central school,
that's right, you get one in the front and
Mm.
back.
the town hall and middle school, and if you take the right to go down the hill there on Morse Ave,
Right.
you got the high school ones there.
Yeah.
And it's like, we need to rethink that. I think, I don't know if I'm the only one that thinks that, but I think we sent them back and said,
We
find
did.
out what the
We did.
difference in prices and what makes sense for the
I
town.
think we also did ask them to see if there would be kind of a deal if you got all of them from the same
Right.
vendor. Just, instead of just like,
Right,
each one I
that's what
think
I
was
did.
just a different quote for each one. It's like, what if you combine those, maybe they get a better deal on all 3.
Plus, if you get the same sign, you're buying 3 signs that are the same.
Right.
Maintenance-wise, you're gonna use the same guy to fix them because they're the same sign. Rather than have, well, this one cost 1,000 to fix, this is 600 to fix it. So I think that's where they are. We haven't sent that on to the board yet anyway, I don't think, right? So-
We're still waiting for them to come back.
Yeah, they said they were gonna get a new bid, I think, yeah.
So we need to follow up on that, if you can get that into the minutes, Gigi, I'd appreciate that. Anything else in general, or we wanna go back to tonight?
I guess, I hate to keep coming back to cost, but I think everything we do, we ought to preface with pending an accurate cost, which is the procurement
Right, but,
factor.
yeah, I mean, everything is, I mean, I don't wanna say it's a given, I think it's a good idea to put that wording in what we
Yeah.
submit. You're right on that, but that is the bottom line, as I understand it.
Yeah, I keep getting hung up on that. I mean, I feel like I'm just,
Right.
beating a dead horse, wasting a lot of time, but it's the cost.
Right, somebody comes in and
The
says
numbers
that-
are vague.
Yeah, the
You
Cannibal
can
pin's
say
gonna
that you
be
think the movie
$50,000.
screen's a great idea, and then if he says, oh, yeah, okay, $100,000, and now it's not
Yeah.
a good idea anymore.
Well, some of the ones, we've seen some fairly accurate, precise numbers. I mean, so
Right, some of them
if
have
they
been
don't
actual
change,
prices
obviously.
from the companies, and,
Yeah.
But those numbers are 9 months old now,
Right,
They're gonna change.
exactly.
you know, from last August.
one thing I know Charlie had sent an update from the Zoom meeting that Plymouth County did the other day, and one of the items on it was that now, as part of our allocation from Plymouth County, we are getting some money that can be used as revenue replacement, which is basically that general, doesn't have to fall in one of the categories, use, and we're supposed to let Plymouth County know whether we want money in the revenue replacement category, or if we wanna waive it. The only reason and they do expect some towns and cities to waive it, but I can picture that would be a town that's using all of their money on a water and sewer project. They're not gonna need the revenue replacement, but where we're using it on smaller projects, I think it makes sense for us as a town to accept money under the revenue replacement category, but, we're gonna have to send them an answer, and so I just wanted to throw it out to the group and see if you all agree that that makes sense to do.
I
It
think-
doesn't change our total, it just gives us more freedom
Right.
with our money.
So the question at the end of the day, it's using $100,000 as the bucket, right? So if we say, right now we're getting $80,000, and they say, we'll give you another 20. So if you have that $100,000 of revenue replacement money, you can spend that on anything,
Right.
pretty much, right?
Yep.
And if you don't spend it on everything, you can take the $20,000 and put it into the outdoor movie system or something like that, right?
Mhm.
So, makes sense to just say, yeah, we want it.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
like I said, it doesn't change the total they're gonna give us. They'll give us the same thing, one way or another. It just gives us more freedom with that piece of it.
So we have a vote and bring that back, recommend something to the Board of Selectmen?
Yeah, I think we could do that. Makes
If
sense.
anyone wants to make a motion?
I guess if whoever's making a motion could make a motion to, I can't make a motion, but make a motion to, accept funds under the revenue replacement category from Plymouth County.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? Well done, Melanie. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I get credit for that? Just one thing I want to mention, on talking to Diane tonight too, it wasn't inappropriate for me to offer to meet her and look over the stuff that she's thinking of doing.
I don't
I
think so.
think so.
Okay, just
To
wanted to,
gather
Thought it-
information.
Thought it was commendable.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good idea, just to give
okay,
committee
I
some
just, you know,
firsthand, experience or see what she's talking about,
Hmm.
so you can help
I'm
inform
down
us.
there a lot for the gardens,
Yeah.
so, and I've walked the trails a number of times, so.
I think that, it was a good, just eye opener that someone's doing all that work
Yeah,
for us, that if there's anybody, that wants to volunteer, it's good to know that, talk to her. She
Yeah,
could probably
they
use
have
the help.
A very good volunteer system,
Yeah,
from what I've
It's
seen.
incredible.
Just like the gardens, we do everything by volunteers.
Wow.
We don't have much to do, other than stand around and watch things grow.
all right, the snow blowers, we're gonna get some feedback from them. Strongsfield scoreboard. You wanna make a motion on that, or
Well,
we'll discuss that?
I'm gonna take up time. Melanie, I disagree with you, and I don't wanna make it, but I almost think that a scoreboard, replacing a scoreboard is a little, bit of an excessive expenditure,
I can see that.
so. I mean, it's a good idea, it's a great scoreboard and everything else, but is it really necessary?
I mean, the Little League has funds, they're supposed to have funds, through the fees, right? To do some of
Actually,
that?
Strongs, my understanding,
yeah. Well, Little
my
League fees, I
understanding
guess.
was Strongsfield, when I was there, was maintained by the Recreation Committee,
Yeah.
not by the
Oh,
Little
right, right.
Leagues.
Okay,
Right, so the Recreation Commission in town, it was Bob something, I can't remember his name. And Bob, the other Bob did all the maintenance on the fields.
Yeah.
But had income coming in, so like John said, outside groups come in and use the field, so if they have an all-star game from someplace or someplace like that, they'll play there.
AAU
They pay a fee,
fees.
AAU, that's it.
yeah, right.
They pay a fee to use it, so that goes towards maintaining the fields and things like that, but I imagine all these years, the scoreboard has been a non-cost item, and now it's a cost item, and that's why they're looking for the money, and I understand what you're saying, is, if this one works, why do we,
Why, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just my personal
Right,
opinion
no,
too, I can see
And something
someone
like the
standing up
roof
there
is
holding up a
different.
number,
Yeah, it's like a need, right? So the need, it's a nice to have, is it
Yeah.
have to have, is it a need there?
Yeah,
So I guess
right.
we can
Is it
prioritize it
necessary?
based on the need, right?
Yeah,
Because other projects obviously have higher need,
right.
maybe that's how,
That's
maybe
probably
that's a
why
better
this
way to
one
explain
hasn't
what
been
I'm
talked
saying.
about until
The
now.
money might be spent better somewhere else.
Right.
And that could be a lower priority if there's funds left over.
That's what I was thinking too, have some fun, have some of these projects that you like, but like you said, maybe the need's not as great, have them on the back burner, then if these estimates come in high, and at the end when the bids really come in, if there's excess funds, you know what I mean, is there something, are you guys thinking about that, like, because just like capital, they always come in a little bit high, just because you can't go back for more funds, so they always estimate a little bit high, and then they come in a little bit lower than John, he gets authorization to borrow that much, but he doesn't always borrow that much, so it might be similar here, where they come in a little bit high, just in case. And then at the end, you might find you have, whatever 20, 30,000 left over that's extra, maybe some of, like this could eat up some of that,
So what I'm hearing is, just, we would say that we're not gonna be recommending it at this time, but we're gonna table it for a while, and then towards the end, as we get to
Start the end of the projects and see what's,
when the dollar amounts are coming down and getting slimmer, and Melanie says, okay, you have this much left to spend, and yeah, there is an extra whatever it was, $17,000.
Yeah.
We can throw that in there.
Right.
But Another thing to consider too, though, is this money is things to do, some of the things that you aren't gonna be able to do as a town, through your town budget. So it's an opportunity to get something like this done
Right,
that you wouldn't normally do,
right, right.
right? So, but I can understand what you guys are both saying, and let's wait till the end and see how much money we have left, because
Right.
there might be something that would knock it off.
Right, and it would be easier to make that decision if we knew, if we could look at it and say, hey, how much longer are you gonna work for us? And the, you know, if the school board's got 2 more years in it, or does it have 15 more years in
Right,
it?
right,
And 2 years from now, we're scrambling, trying to pull together the money to replace it, but,
So maybe we add a step to our process is I don't know if table is the right word, but the idea of tabling a request and delaying the recommendation until a later time.
Right.
Till
That's
we've
it.
gone through all the other projects.
Delay the recommendation till.
They have like a second time through the ones, for the ones that were tabled.
I guess I'd like a little bit more information too. You know, you said the JV team uses it. Do they use it for games?
Yeah,
Yeah, and then,
the varsity uses the one over here.
right, right. And then other organizations, you know, how much do they pay for the fees and what does that money go to?
right,
Goes
because
towards
if
the
the
mowing
fees are
and
coming
all
in
the other, well, the
and,
mowing's probably done by the town anyway.
That's what I mean.
yeah.
So what's going on? Like, what's their budget? Like, how is
Right,
that,
'cause
how
there
does
would be
money being
fees
used? And can
coming
they
in from
raise
the
the fees a
other-
little bit? Like,
Yeah.
and athletic fees for the, like JV,
right.
they pay athletic fees, and that goes
right.
into an account, so there's athletic fees.
Just
and
curious, you know
then
what I mean?
there's-
Like, how,
Yeah, I mean, it used to be, I can't think of the guy's name, he's gone by now, but, you know, he'd buy the fertilizer and stuff like that, and it'd be out of the account.
John
but-
used to do that for, when our kids were little, John was doing that,
Yeah.
the same job. But yeah, so I just, you know, I'd like to maybe talk to John. We can talk to him offline even
Yep.
to figure that out, you know?
All right. So we'll put that one on hold.
Yeah.
Should we vote to do that, or just put it on hold?
I think we're okay to put it on hold if you
Yeah,
want,
we'll
but
just
if
put
you
it
want.
on hold.
What's that called? Pocket veto?
Table for second round, I'm gonna call it.
Right.
Yeah, that's good.
Outdoor movies? Anyone wanna make a motion on
I think
that?
that's a good idea. I don't know how everybody else
agree,
feels. I think
yeah.
it's nice to bring the community together, providing it's used right, and I think it will be, so the rec commission. I make a motion to push it forward
Second.
for approval.
Any discussion? Further discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? Replace the roofs at the baseball fields?
I didn't catch the price on that.
What was that?
That was 3 roofs, right?
Yep.
What was it? Yeah.
With 3 buildings?
3 roofs,
Yeah,
and it
there's a
concession
garage
stands
and the
storage
concession stand
sheds.
at Church Street, and then the one at Belmont Street. That seems like a reasonable number for 3 roofs.
16,800. 16,800,
16, 1-6?
16.
16,800.
16,800.
Yeah,
Seems fair.
that sounds very reasonable, yeah.
It actually sounds really low.
And I think that, you know, just judging from the fact that it's
No, yeah,
including
it's true.
square.
Yeah, 'cause if you
including
have someone come
soccer,
roof your house, it's-
baseball, anything that's down there,
Yep.
it's including all of our kids,
Mm-hmm.
you know, somewhere or other. I think that's good.
Motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to vote on that.
Right.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous?
Which is the trails, right?
Yep.
I think for that, we said we wanted to get a quote per well, an actual quote, first of all.
Right, a breakdown program.
And then
Sounds
maybe
like she's just requesting a fixed amount,
Yeah,
and she's
and
gonna
maybe
spend up to that.
a quote
I'm not sure
per
that's how it works.
project that needs to get done there, so this, it sounds like there was 5 or 6.
75, and we'll just work with that, and we'll
Yeah.
spend it. I don't know.
Sprinkle it around, yeah.
Yeah, let me know what you're doing exactly.
Use cypress.
But I think
Use,
we,
you know, really good wood.
she's gonna go to John Haynes, and
Yeah.
he'll have
You need a
somebody
little bit.
go over there and
Yeah.
give her something she can
I
be
think there's a
bragging
lot of
right.
work to do down there,
Oh, yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
But I can't quantify it, because I haven't been out there in a while.
We're talking about replacing bridges and all that. There's some work. There's
Yeah.
gonna be some
Right.
cost involved, you know?
Right, it's gotta be done right, it's not gonna
Yeah.
be,
One thing I didn't understand is she's talking about removing some roots. Is she talking about digging up roots or just kind of filling over them? I don't know.
no idea.
Yeah,
It's a roots, this kind of bumpy and all that, but I mean, that's trails, right? But
Yeah.
she's talking about like leveling it and pulling roots. That's,
realistically,
hard work.
I think you're just gonna have to live with what's there.
I mean, if you want to fill it with wood chips or rocks or something like that, gravel, you know, to smooth it out, but start removing stuff like that.
The
That's-
lead, when you first walked down where she was talking,
Yeah.
and I don't know, like, feel like you'd have to almost like somehow step, like, make it into steps, but I
Right,
don't
right.
know how.
But that's
That
why,
is-
if John Haynes or somebody
Yeah, he
goes,
can,
one of his
I-
guys goes out there, they can kind of say,
it'd be good for you, Ken, to look at it too. you
Yeah,
know,
it's one of those things where until you look at it, you really don't know how much
Yeah.
work there is.
Right, right.
You know, look closely at it, and
Yeah.
for someone who doesn't really know what it
One thing I was
entails.
gonna ask too, is were there any incidents of people falling and getting hurt out there? I haven't heard anything about that, but
No.
were there any lawsuits or any claims against the town or anything like that? Are we liable for that stuff? I don't know.
Not that I know of, and I see a lot of dog walkers down there
liable
too.
for everything.
Fair enough there.
Even if it ended up that they could just do the bridges, I mean, at least that's something
That's the
that.
big stuff, the
Right,
bridges.
right.
'Cause again,
Kind of like, they're like, like, if you picture like pallet bridges
yeah.
that just, and they're just kind of
Yeah.
set in between two
Right.
edges.
All right, so we'll hold off till she comes back.
more information. I like the idea. I support the idea, so.
Yeah.
I do too. I think we just have to put a number on it.
Right.
You know, like all of them, really.
Yeah.
Every one of them has been a little vague.
They're all, a lot of these people are people that aren't used to doing this stuff.
Right.
It's tough on them too. I mean,
Exactly.
Diane came in tonight, she was here early and she had, you know, what am I supposed to do here? So, but, all right, anything else for tonight?
But here I go again, but one of the things I was kind of thinking is, at some point, do we need to assess how much we're committing to?
Melanie's keeping.
Melanie, do that. Okay.
Yeah, I can go through and figure out where we're at.
Because we still have a few that are out there, like the pavilion. I don't think we got a finite number on that, did we?
Oh,
I haven't seen.
So
another
we still
number.
have a lot of things that are up in the air.
so, I mean, we've only, how many of you actually recommended to the Board of Selectmen?
Yeah, that's the other thing, just assess everything that we've,
Maybe it'd
Talked
be nice
about.
if we could get something, I don't know if you can do it, just what we've recommended to them. And
And the prices? No, I don't think,
we, our worry is not whether they approve it or not.
but they haven't approved, none of them have gone to,
Well, they
Their
approved the
meetings, right?
sewer, right?
well, yes. So, okay, back before the committee was even started, the Board of Selectmen did approve some projects, so they approved, 350,000 of like design work towards the sewer project on Bedford Street. About 312,000, for an ambulance, and,
For an ambulance.
yeah, we
Ambulance funds not
needed,
paying for that?
we needed an ambulance, and there was
Wow.
one available, so that fell into ARPA.
Jesus.
And small amount for, bulletproof vests for the police. Is there anything else?
was it body cameras too? Was that something involved?
I think the vests and the cameras were together.
Oh, maybe it was yeah, maybe
I
I'm
think
just
so.
mixing it up then. But, so that, those have been committed and spent. The ambulance came out of Plymouth County money, and the sewer project should too, but that application's still being processed.
So if they don't approve it, then, you know, that's, money's not coming out of the total, right? So
The thing is,
it's nice to know that.
so we gotta spend the money by a certain date.
We have to commit
I
it
know, we're
by,
recommending it to the select committee, but you said it doesn't matter if we know, but if they don't approve something, then we have extra money, right?
Right.
If we use these kind of projects, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
So it is kind of nice to know, if they don't, assuming they approve most of that stuff, we're sending to them, right? But if for some reason they don't, we definitely should know that.
But we haven't even really sent them too many. I mean,
Right.
Just
Yeah.
what Melanie talks about there really is all,
And even if it's, approved by
Right.
the board here, doesn't mean that Plymouth County's gonna approve it.
right,
Oh, right.
So,
and that's like a month-long
that's-
process there.
'cause have we formally, submitted anything to the board for recommendation?
Thought we had.
we had a few that we voted on.
But how, like, how did they get word of it,
What's the
basically?
process?
Charlie was here, was it for those?
Yeah, I think.
Well,
we oughta
we've
define-
recommended the playground equipment, the central
Right.
school,
Yeah,
Mhm.
the mental health and social emotional funding, the entrance enhancements,
right.
and I think that's it. Other than those off the wall
What was the
ones.
third one, John?
The fixing the doors, making the doors
Oh,
safer
right,
to the
right,
schools.
security,
Yep.
yeah. Did we not go talk about the accounting software? Did we do that too?
I don't think we've gotten to that.
We can go through
We
that,
could
yeah.
ask Ryan to come to our next meeting.
Right, that's what we should do now, is establish when our next meeting's gonna be and who's gonna come.
So we didn't recommend any other recreation or school projects yet? I know I missed one of the meetings where John Shea spoke.
Well, my notes, I got the pavilion for this Council on Aging. I don't have any recommendation on that yet, because we're looking for a better group. Sachem Rock came tonight, so that, we're waiting on something from them again now, right?
Yep.
So, on the trails for the John Hayes thing. Mitchell Central School and entrance enhancements we've done. Then the next two I have are signs.
Right,
And
we're
then
waiting for
skip down to the
information.
electronic, town hall sign, so there's the three signs that they gotta get together on.
Yep.
Repurpose and renovate 2 courts on Church Street. And LED lighting at Church Street and the Church Street Little League concession and storage shed exterior repair and electrical upgrade. I think we recommended them at the last meeting. That's what I have, but I don't have Dan's notes, so I can't say for sure.
I'll double check on that.
I have an orange here, so I think we voted okay on those.
What was it, the basketball court, the LED lighting?
And the Church Street Little League concession and storage shed repair and electrical upgrade.
Now a roof, right? What else?
That I think is a different building. I'm not sure, but might be.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you're talking about Church Street, there's bathrooms and a little bit of a storage shed down there, and then a concession stand, I think is different, but I'm not positive.
No, it's all the same building.
Is it all the same building? Okay.
So the garage is underneath,
Right.
the
But-
concession, and then the bathrooms are on the side.
But isn't there something that's like a cinder block building closer to this, what used to be the soccer field, which is,
Yeah, I think there is, it's like a storage building.
yeah, yeah,
That's what I think John was talking about.
yeah,
I
okay.
think that was the one they talked about tonight.
I haven't been
That's
down there in
what-
a
So
long
the
time.
concession stand is one roof, that storage is another, then Church Street soccer is the third roof. I think those are the three he's talking about.
I used to spend 3 days a week down there, the kids were in soccer.
Same, well, I did baseball, yeah, same thing.
So that's what I had. That makes sense.
Yep.
So for next week, or next meeting, not next week, but probably 2 weeks, that sound right?
Good for me.
Mm-hmm. So that'd be the 31st?
First, yeah.
6 p.m.
Is that good, Zach? January 31st is a Tuesday.
Maybe the tricentennial committee's coming in that day.
Yeah.
And no one can overrule you, right?
Not if we get it on the calendar first.
All right, So then, who do we want to invite? Casey's Trucking will be next priority-wise. Off-site backup system for the schools. And, let's see, 131.
2 or 3, right?
131, we wanna do the other two software ones, right, 131?
Yeah.
So that'd be migration of accounting software and budget software, 131. So that's 4. And do we wanna squeeze in the, John Haynes again? The, $1 billion outfield? The, $93,000 backstop, and the $20,000 Leland Farms.
Why don't we try to get them all done?
Try, invite them all for the 31st.
Give them all 10 minutes. Nah, actually, maybe we should not try to jam too many in, because you wouldn't have as much time to devote to each one. I don't know if that's fair or not, you know?
Oh, I'm looking at it like, there's 3 of them that'll be Ryan, right? That's his name? 3 will be Ryan, 1 will be the Casey's Trucking, which will be an outside person, and the other 3 are John Shea. I'm assuming he's Leland Farms also.
He's rec commission too, right? Yeah.
So it's, you know, it's 3 people.
Is that gonna wipe out the entire list now? Will that,
Oh,
no, we still have more?
we still have 4 or 5 more after that.
Okay.
The off-site backup, the baseball field backstop, and what was those 3 you were putting together?
You
Accounting
trucking
software,
there.
budget
Yep.
software.
This is the off-site backup,
Yeah, got that,
migration of software,
Yeah.
accounting software,
yeah,
and then budget software is
Yeah.
Ryan.
okay.
And then softball outfield, backstop and netting, and Leland feasibility of John Shea.
Okay.
What's left after that?
Sorry?
What's left after that?
After that, we'd have the foul ball netting at Strong's Field. We might even throw that in for $70,000. School pickup truck, land at Robin Street, and premium pay for patrol officers. And then we could start going through for a second review or take a month off.
Yeah.
What's the date for submission? Do you remember, Melanie? What the board has to submit to Plymouth County by?
All the money needs to be committed to be spent by December 31st, 2024.
Okay, so we got a year or so.
And then once it's committed, we have 2 years after that. So say we did it for the sewer project, we
Yeah.
have time
December 2024, yeah, 2 years.
to decide how we're gonna use it.
Okay.
Yep.
It's 2 years, that's good.
All right, then we got another 2 years to spend it.
Spend
It's 4
it,
years,
yeah.
that's good. For a big project.
Yeah, it's a
that's
huge,
important.
it's a huge grant.
What's the total grant?
What are we at? I
I
don't,
don't
my
have the
brain's
numbers in
fried.
front of me. I always say 1.8 or 2.8
I
million.
think it's 2.8.
2.8 million. It just changed a little bit, like with that last email you guys sent,
Right.
Charlie sent out.
Yeah. Town can use it, you know?
Sure. We're gonna put one at the end to take care of the people in the ARPA committee. No taxes, 5 years.
I'll motion for that.
Oh, you have to abstain. All of us do. All right, well, thank you for your time.
Okay,
Unless anyone has any objections, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
motion?
Second?
Made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.
All
Good
right,
night
thank
out
you.
there in TV land.